to another episode of Let's Talk Money with Wendy Silevi. This today I'm very excited to be sitting here under the stars, under the trees, with Magauta Mphahlele. We're going to be talking all things credit. This series is about credit. And Magauta Mphahlele is the Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman, the CEO of Ituseng Credit Solutions, former legislative committee member of the Financial Services Board, former adjudicator at National Consumer Council, a foodie. She loves cooking. As you can see, we are sitting outside in her garden that she has really done herself. She's growing her own vegetables, a mom, a friend, and a granny. Well, help me welcome Magauta. Welcome, Magauta.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, to our session. I'm so excited to be here just to sit under this awesome environment. It's
Yeah.
different than go officing. We can just have a chat around credit matters. So,
Yeah.
you know, um, before we go into the topic here today, tell us, who is Magauta?
Magauta is a girl from a little town called Koster in the northwest, but she came to Soweto around 1976 in Orlando East. Yeah, she was raised by a very fierce grandmother who taught her from a very young age that she has to be hardworking, she has to be independent, she has to be a useful human being, she has to work hard and do everything that she does very well. So my grandmother used to say, even if you sweep the floor, you must sweep as if God is going to walk where you are sweeping. So yeah, a perfectionist. I'm a mother of two boys and a grandmother to two young people.
Wow, awesome. Thank you. Hey,
Yeah.
yeah, no, Kokoster. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And I note that you still go home.
Yes.
You haven't forgotten your roots. You're
No, you
forever
can't.
visiting
My
your
mother.
mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Munkela, all these vegetables that we see here and the fruit. I wish you could see what I'm seeing here, what I'm experiencing here. As you can hear, the birds are chirping. It's just a beautiful day.
Environment.
Yeah. So the ombuds, how many are there in South Africa? And maybe talk to us about the ones that are there and what they do.
South Africa has a lot of ombuds schemes,
Okay.
which are mainly industry schemes, because the way most of our laws are structured in the consumer protection side, in the financial services side, is that even though you have regulators in the different sectors, it is preferred that industry deals with complaints at an ombud industry level, because regulators are there to do formal investigations and look at systemic issues. So ombuds are there to give quick and free resolution. So in the financial services sector, because we are now talking credit today, you do have ombud schemes. You have the ombudsman for banking services, who will then deal with complaints that relate to banks. So any complaints that relates to a bank goes to the ombudsman for banking services. Then we have the credit ombudsman. The credit ombudsman deals with credit bureau disputes and other credit disputes that do not relate to banks. So to non-bank credit providers. So you would go to the credit ombudsman. And then you have the ombudsman for short-term insurance. If short-term insurance relates to your household insurance, vehicle insurance, and then you have the ombudsman for long-term insurance. That would be your life cover issues. So your more long-term benefits. You also have the pension funds adjudicator who deals with pension funds. You have the fires ombudsman, remember, in South Africa, anybody who gives you financial advice must be registered with the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, must have a license. And if there are any complaints, then you would go to the Fires Ombudsman. So, but what is happening now, most of the ombuds in the financial services sector are coming together to form one super ombud because they've realized that consumers get confused as to where. But what is important is that all financial services providers, credit providers, in the consumer goods and services space where I am an ombuds, we deal with complaints relating to goods and services. If you buy a television, it doesn't work. If you buy a fridge, a microwave, if you ask someone to come and put cupboards for you in your house, that is a service. We would deal with those complaints. But all suppliers and all financial services providers are required to advise their clients of the existence of the ombud schemes if there is a dispute. So if you look at your policy documents, you will see that they will tell you if you have a dispute, this is where you need to go. So do read those documents.
Those documents. The T's and C's, the terms and conditions, there's about 30 and they're written in small print and there's so much. And I think a lot of us, the mistake that we make, we just skim through them. And then we miss important information like for Khonale and Ombud.
But right at the end of those long documents, you will find a section that tells you how you must deal with the dispute. If there is a dispute, where must you go? Because by law, they are required to advise you of the ombud that applies to their industry or to their business.
I'm actually going to go back to
some
of my
your documents
contracts and just check. Because, and to you who is watching, I mean, it's important for you to know these things, to say you do have recourse if you are unhappy. I think Rona Rataba to go back and complain, lodge a complaint, or we just don't know.
But what happens also, we go to the wrong people because, you know, we have ombud schemes so that you don't have to go to court and you don't have to go and pay a lawyer. So the ombud is your first start because they are free to you as a consumer. And then only if the ombud cannot help you resolve the dispute can then you go to a lawyer, you know. So, but most complaints are resolved at that level. So it's important to know who your ombud is for the different types of disputes.
Okay. So your typical day of officing, what does it look like? And probably maybe share with us for how much I can say a complaint. What are the steps that are followed and how long does it take to resolve it?
Well, since COVID, a lot of us are not working in an office. We work from home.
Okay. So that's why we are sitting here. This is the office of the office.
Yes, we work from home because a lot of the complaints that we receive are, you know, we have a case management system. A person will go on the website. So 99% of our complaints are lodged through the website because there's a complaint form, and recently, soon we will be launching a complaints app. So you don't even have to go on the website. You just go on your phone and lodge the complaint. We do have walk-ins. You know, older people prefer to have there is a physical office. So we do have a few walk-ins where somebody can walk into our office and lodge a complaint, or they can call the call center and lodge a complaint. So there are different channels through which people can lodge complaints because we do accept that not everyone has data and access to a website.
And you just make me laugh because, you know, but Baba Kholo, the elderly, you know, the digital world has not as yet been embraced by them. So we still I count myself in there. We still like a bit of face to
To
face,
face, yes.
so that you are assured that somebody is
Yes.
doing something
Yeah.
about it. And maybe the question, if I then go on the website or I physically come in and I lodge a complaint, what is the kind of complaint I can lodge, number one? And then how long does it take for you to resolve
Yeah,
it?
well, we operate in terms of a code of conduct, and that has been approved by the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition. And in that code of conduct, we are given a turnaround time of a maximum of 60 business days to try and resolve the complaint. So it usually takes about more than 75% of our complaints are resolved within that time frame. Some take longer because they are very technical. So what type of complaints can you, well, I'll tell you the top 10 that we
Yeah.
receive, maybe mainly online transactions. So you go online, you order goods or services, and in terms of the Consumer Protection Act, you have the right for goods to be delivered on time as per the agreement. So if somebody says I'll deliver the goods in 5 days, they must do that. Or if there's going to be a delay, they must tell you that there's going to be a delay. If they don't deliver within the agreed time frame, you have the right to cancel the transaction and to request the refund. So, you know, a lot of us are now buying online, and that's a typical complaint that we get. Another online complaint is that it's not what I bought, or it's not what was advertised.
Yeah.
And initially, you know, it's even on social media, it used to be a joke, or, you know, I thought I was ordering a handbag, but when it comes, it's like a toy, it's like a
Yeah.
small thing.
Yeah.
By law, if you have not had the opportunity to examine the goods, they must fit the description that was given online.
Okay.
Yeah, they must fit the quality that was advertised, the color, everything. So, because that's how we see they describe, but it has improved because previously they wouldn't even tell you if it's a purse, what are the dimensions, you know, so that you can expect that what size is it, what is included in if you buy a toy, does it come with batteries? Does it come with a remote control? Do you need to buy the remote control separately? Because somebody says, I bought this thing, now they tell me, I see that this thing is not included, I have to go and buy something else. By law, they are required to give you exactly what you are going to get. And we do get complaints to say, it didn't tell me that it doesn't include this. There's also a lot of...
Sorry, before we go the third one, what happens if kitlako wena Magauta, o rata ho roka?
Yeah.
You are receiving stress. I see the picture of this dress. Actually, yesterday I was laughing at someone because today they're at a wedding,
Yeah.
and they went to this person, Bamufa, the picture of the dress that they want. And this person said, no, I can do this with my eyes closed. When they went for a fitting, what they had ordered and what they received were worlds apart.
Yeah.
Now, if it's an individual like that, what is my record?
Yeah, okay. The consumer protect, if that individual is in the business
Okay.
of sewing and selling dresses,
Okay.
they fall under the Consumer Protection
Okay.
Act. But if it's me, Magauta, you know, I had a dress, I don't like it, I sell it to you, I say, Wendy,
Yeah.
you know, buy it. It's a once-off thing. It's not, I'm not in the business.
Yeah.
So the Consumer Protection Act applies in the ordinary course of business. So you would be protected, even if you don't have to be a registered business. You have to be in the business of sewing and selling dresses. The Consumer Protection Act says that where you had advised the supplier the purpose of why you want, or special order goods, where you specify this is what I need and the shape, and if it doesn't come as you had specified, then you have recourse for a refund. Or even if for example, if you buy an iPad and you tell them it must have so many, it must be this size, this is what I want to use it for. I want to take pictures, and they say no, you can take pictures with it, and when you get it, it doesn't do what you had specified and they had said, then you have recourse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no more walking away. Because the person I was talking to yesterday, they then had to run around yesterday,
Yeah.
go to some place and
And
buy
get another
dresses. And
dress.
so they ended up getting what they really didn't want. And you know what? For them, that was the end of the situation.
No,
You
they
know?
can lodge a complaint with the ombudsman. But I also need to caution people. If you go and buy a dress, you fit it, and then you decide you don't like it, you want to return it, that is not covered by the Consumer Protection
Okay.
Act. We call it a change of mind. So that the shop will have its own policy as to how they will deal with it. So that is why you will see some say return within 7 days, some 14 days. That's because there's nothing wrong with the dress.
Yeah.
The only time where you are protected, if there is something wrong with the dress, you have 6 months, a 6 months automatic warranty, where you can either get a replacement, a refund, or a repair. So that applies to even goods, your televisions, your washing. There's even if they don't tell you
Yeah.
that there's a warranty, the law gives you an automatic 6 month warranty for
Wow.
defective goods. Not the ones that you just change your mind that you
Okay.
don't like
Yeah.
it anymore.
Buyer's remorse.
Yeah, bias remorse, you know.
You feel like
No, then that's up to the store,
Yeah, okay.
whether they will take it back or not.
All right, and then the
Yeah.
4th, the 5th, up to the 10th, top 10
No.
complaints. Ke interested. Ke batla batho ba utlwa. I really want
Yeah.
people to have an idea hore what is it that they can return and
Yes,
so on.
yeah, we've already spoken about returns.
Yeah.
And the important thing about returns, don't try and fix the goods yourself. Because if you tamper with the goods, contrary to the instructions of the manufacturer, or if you get an unqualified person to come and fix it, and then after that you take it to the supplier, you are voiding the warranty, even the automatic warranty.
Okay.
So don't touch. Just take it back and say, I bought a kettle and then it's not working. When I put it on, it doesn't go on, or there's smoke coming out of it. Then you need to then submit it. Don't try and fix it
Yeah.
yourself.
And that's the issues. When they refuse, then you can escalate
Yes.
to the ombudsman.
The process is that you first start with the person that
Yeah.
you bought the goods for. If
Yeah.
they don't give you joy, then you come to us. So we are not the first option.
Yeah.
The first option, try and resolve with the supplier. So a lot of other complaints we get, especially with online, is pricing complaints. In terms of the consumer, the price you see is the price you pay. Yeah. So even if when you get to the till, but that was the price, so then you can't pay more than what was displayed. But the Act says that it must, if it's an obvious error. So online, what happens is that something is worth 4,000 rand, and you see it for 400 or
Or
400. You need to ask yourself, 4,000 to 400. But we do get a lot they do make mistakes. So the Act says that if it's a mistake, they must correct it and advise you.
Okay.
So it does happen. So somebody says, my order went through, but then they came back to say, no, we are canceling your order because the price was incorrect. So we do get a lot of those complaints. What other complaints do we get? We've spoken about goods. We've spoken a lot of, services is very broad.
Yes. Yeah.
Tombstones. Tombstones are a problem because a lot of the tombstones people don't give redress.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we don't have the powers to make binding decisions. So, and recently we've been getting a lot of solar related complaints, and I need to talk about that because we are all being affected by
the
load
load shedding.
shedding. Yeah. So solar complaints that we are getting is that they don't tell you that you need a certificate of compliance. Remember, your insurance won't cover you if there's no certificate of compliance that is provided by the solar installer.
Okay.
So who can give a certificate of compliance in South Africa? It's a qualified and registered electrician or master installer. So if your solar person is not an electrician, don't touch them. And make sure that they are registered with the Department of Labor.
Okay, so basically, if you are ka hore kaofela ga rona right now
We
re
are
batla
looking at it,
solar,
yeah.
we're looking at inverters,
Yes.
we're looking at all of that. The first and most important thing you need to do is
Yeah.
to make sure that the people that are fitting your solar panels or your inverter
Yeah.
are qualified
And
electrician
registered
and they
electrician.
are registered.
Yes.
So bakopa certificate.
Yes,
We
you have
shouldn't
to
be
ask.
shy to
No,
do
we
those
shouldn't be
things.
shy because you even now government
Ntlo ha e
has said
kasha.
they will. Yes, they'll give us incentives. The first thing they are going to require is the certificate of compliance, and if they are not a registered master installer, you won't get it. And we do get complaints that this person now cannot give me the, and make sure that in your contract it's specified gore o tlo go fa that certificate. Number two, the mistake that we are doing. You, Magauta, wake up and decide, ke batla solar system. You go to a wholesaler where they sell these things, you buy them. You don't know what your needs are. You don't know whether it's the correct thing. The Consumer Protection Act, like I said, protects you when you ordered, you told them exactly what you need, and the goods were not what you ordered. If you go and buy something wrong, a 10,000 rand inverter, but it was not the right one, you cannot, they don't have to take it back. So you've lost 10,000 rand. So what you do, go to that qualified electrician. He must come to your house, assess your needs, and then tell you exactly what you need, because there are different size of solar systems, 5 kilowatt, 8 kilowatt, 12 kilowatt, you, depending on the needs of your house. And then he will give you a long list of things that you need to buy if you are going to buy them yourself, so that then you are protected because you told them exactly what you need.
Yeah.
So do consult first, don't just go and buy. And then the other thing is that the warranties, like I said, if it's installed by an unqualified person and anything wrong happens, you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure.
So basically, if Kika Kenya solar, and then it can take an unqualified person,
Yeah, motho mo kry-ile mo
and
corner
then
fela.
ebe roof ya
Ka
ka
e
e
tjha.
tjha,
You
it
are not
means
covered.
even the insurance
Yes.
won't pay
Yeah.
for the repairs of the roof
No.
because I used the so very, very, very,
Very important.
that we
And
do
you
that.
need to tell your insurer after you've installed your system.
Oh, it's a king.
Because you're not sure whether the current cover that you have is enough to even cover that.
Yay.
So it usually falls under it's not household contents, it's building insurance.
Okay.
It's part of your
Wow,
building.
thanks for that, because as a kgale le rona re tlo kenya di panels and whatever. Now I know what to look out for, number
Yeah.
one. Number two, to make sure that I make my insurer
Aware.
Yeah.
So
You-
that they tell you if you have enough
cover,
and
yeah.
also submit your certificate of
Yes.
compliance. Yes.
Okay. And then if you have maybe mediated on a dispute and you make a ruling, is it enforceable?
No, we are a mediator.
Okay.
So we don't make binding
Okay.
rulings. So it's up to the supplier and the parties whether they reach a settlement. Obviously, our role is to advise the supplier what does the law require. And most suppliers do comply. We're only ones that we have a problem with are your small fly-by-nights. So I'll go back to the types of complaints that we are getting. A lot of complaints that we cannot resolve relates to where people are buying things on social media. So I'm Magauta, I come up, I advertise. You know that these sneakers are very expensive, branded ones. Then Magauta comes on Instagram and yeah, you know, they are chowing your money. A lot of those people run away with your money. Unless you've checked and you've established that we do have small businesses that operate on social media. I've also bought from them. There are legitimate ones, but there are ones that are out there to defraud you. So do your homework.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones that run away. They block you on WhatsApp.
And then you can't
They
find
are not
them.
contactable. We cannot find them. So if you are buying from those people, make sure that you've done your homework and you know that you can trust them.
Wow.
It's hard, I know.
Sure, thank you so much.
But the nice
Magauta.
thing about social media is that we all complain. So if you Google Magauta Mphahlele, the name
Then
will
it will
come
be
up.
there.
Corwin,
Yeah,
this one
yeah,
ran away with my money. So check
yeah.
on social media if there are complaints, because those we cannot help you.
I like a check before I buy. I check
Yeah.
what are they
Yes.
saying? What are the
Yeah.
reviews? Google. I mean, Dr.
Yeah.
Google is there,
Yeah,
helps us with
do that,
everything.
because
Yeah.
sometimes we're buying even from companies that are not based in South Africa,
Yeah.
and those ones, the problem is that they don't disclose the costs. So you see, it's very cheap. It has to go through customs, there are
Customs, yeah.
taxes to be paid. So make sure that you understand the full price, because then you don't want your goods to be stuck at customs and you've already paid them. So do your homework to say, ask them, is this the total cost? Is there anything else that I will need to pay? Because we do get those complaints to say, now they are telling me I have to add 5,000 rand for something that I didn't know about.
I mean, I know what that is like. I sell shoes, so
Yeah.
I went and I bought shoes, and when they came, I did customs. When I had to put them through the clearing
Yes,
agent,
yeah.
yeah, the amount of money they wanted was just
Yes.
ridiculous,
So do
and
your
it
homework,
really
yeah.
pushed up the price and
Price,
everything.
yeah.
So doing your due diligence
Yes,
is
it's
very
very
important.
important, yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think we have heard what the role of the ombudsman is,
Yeah.
what people's recourse is if
Yeah.
they've bought goods or services and they're unhappy. And you've really warned us, Corey, we must do our homework. And I want to stress ARD Solar because the load shedding is here for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
Make sure you do the right things and don't forget to speak to your insurance company to make sure that you're adequately insured,
Yeah.
and get that certificate of compliance,
Compliance.
because even SARS, they are being so good to us. Refer those rebates. If you don't have that
Yes,
compliance, then
that is one of the conditions.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So when I did my intro, so thank you on that one.
Yeah.
And I want to move on to the next thing. When I did my intro, I also said that you are the CEO of E2Saying Credit
Credit
Solutions.
Solutions.
Bona, ke ombudsman ka mo, ke CEO ka mo. E2Saying, what do you do?
It2Saying is registered with the National Credit Regulator as an alternative dispute resolution agent. Okay, and I'm also a registered debt counselor, and that one I will talk about it, because unfortunately some debt counselors are unscrupulous. Yeah. We deal with complaints relating to credit.
Okay.
Yeah. So we resolve out of court. So that's also part of the act, to say you don't have to go to court. So what type of complaints do ADR agents? So ADR agents are private companies. They will charge you for the services. So for example, a lot of the credit bureau disputes, we deal with credit bureau disputes.
Okay.
So if the information is correct, is
incorrect.
outdated. For example, if you are declined for a car or a bond, then you could come to us and say, I've been declined. And we'll say, why? We will check your credit bureau report and then lodge a dispute. What is important to note, and I always tell people, there are ombuds that we can lodge these disputes with. Okay? So you can go to the credit ombudsman, and that's free. But there are people who are saying, I'm busy, I don't have time to go to the ombuds. Can you just handle everything for me? Like people say, I don't want to go to the licensing department to queue, but I'm the kind of businesswoman that will, if there is a free service available, I always tell you, there is a free service. But if you want convenience and not have to call, then you can go to a private ADR agent who will handle the dispute on your behalf. But what ombuds cannot do is to negotiate repayment, is to negotiate. For example, if a bank wants to repossess your house or your car, then the ADR agent can also negotiate an out-of-court settlement to say, don't repossess the house. This is the offer. This is what they can pay. This is the financial situation. So that is the role that Itusen Credit Solutions plays. And then when it comes to debt counseling, I think I have one client under debt counseling. Debt counseling is a serious process. Once you are in, you cannot get out. So do not agree telephonically to somebody who is calling you and saying, do you want to reduce your interest? Do you want to save on your installments? And you are not in financial trouble. Don't just agree, because once you've signed those papers, even telephonically, to get out is a nightmare. So, and I believe that when you have financial issues, you don't start with an external party. You start with yourself to say, I'm in financial trouble. Is there anything at a personal level that I can do to change the situation? I was retrenched previously. So what did I do? I sat down, looked at my budget, identified that I have reduced income. Then you change your lifestyle. Yeah, because sometimes we want the easy way out, and that is why we get caught by these unscrupulous people. Start with yourself, and all the credit providers have their internal policies to help you if you are in trouble, if you talk to them on time. So when I was retrenched, I went to my bank and I said, guys, I'm retrenched. So what are we going to do? Magauta, you've been a good client. We'll give you a payment holiday. We'll reduce your installments. I don't have to go to anybody. So, yeah, so the role of an ADR agent is to help people who are in financial trouble, is to help them to resolve the disputes. And that is what Itusen does.
Yeah. Even the name Itusen.
It was help yourself first. I don't want your money. Try and help yourself first. And even if you come to me, I'll say to you, what is the situation? We won't just charge you. And then if we can help you, we will say, okay. But if you can go elsewhere where it's free, that's how I run the business. Yeah.
You know, the issue is that sometimes when we've lost their jobs, they live in this hope that no, I'm not gonna do anything. And during this time, that's when things
get worse. Yes.
Yeah, they get worse, and then ha se di le worse ne o sa tlhole utlwa ke di 087 number ke batho ba o founela ka mo ba bang ba o threatena gore we're coming for our goods and whatever, and you are in this mental state. And then somebody calls you
promising you heaven,
promising you for no, do you want us to reduce this? And they don't explain the process. And I think I want to say to those who are watching, before you get into debt review, you need to understand what are the positives about it, because there are some positive aspects, and then what are the negative aspects, and maybe sit and think, what are the positives outweighing the negatives, or the negatives outweighing the positives, and then don't do it. Because what people don't understand is that at debt review, there is a court process. It's a legal process.
It's a legal process. If your circumstances change tomorrow, you can't get out. You have to settle all those debts and be issued with a clearance certificate. So if your financial problem is a short-term problem, talk to your credit provider. You know, I'm going on maternity leave for the next 3 months. Can we reduce the installment? You give them proof. Learn to speak to your credit providers. Learn to have your budget, your income, and your expenditure, because that's what they want to see. And then say, okay, this is the situation, help me. A lot of the time, they will help you. The only time where it becomes problematic is that you know you are in areas, you don't answer the calls, you don't talk to them. And then 6 months later, then they've handed over. You don't have to go through. Talk to your credit provider, because they do have internal policies. Don't let it escalate to legal. And most people come to us late. You know, I have a court order, the sheriff is coming to say. We are able to resolve, but you know, deal with your matter. And it's an emotional issue because you feel shame, you feel afraid. I mean, when I was retrenched, because me and my ladies, we have a little stockfell. We go out every month, we spend money, and you know, we don't say you drink coffee, we share the beer. So I told them, guys, you know I'm retrenched, ne? So I can only afford so much. I said, we'll add. Don't be
Speak up.
afraid. Yes. I looked at my lifestyle and I said to my children, there are certain things that we won't be able to do anymore, you know, because the money is not there, you know. And now I'm okay. So things do change. But the minute you hide from your credit providers, you end up in the wrong hands where you have to spend a lot of money unnecessarily. So I always say to people, the first step, check how you are spending money. Because sometimes people say, I'm not spending any money. And I say, let's look at your bank statement. And then they get a bottle store.
That's it.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's a funny one where a woman came to us and said she didn't have money, she couldn't pay her creditors. When we looked at her budget, she was taking her dog for manicures, you know.
And pedicures.
And when we removed that line item,
hey, and other line items.
yeah, and the other big thing that I've seen with women that I talk to women about on the Ituseng side is sexually transmitted debt.
Yeah, I was coming to that one. Because I just want to say, you know, for those who really want to go into debt review, I cannot stress enough that get the right information.
Yes.
And then decide whether it will work for you or not. Remember, they have to approach the courts for you to go into debt review.
Yes.
After you've paid up all your debts, which might take 10, 15 years, depending on what they are, for you to get out, they need to apply again to the courts, provide the proof that you've paid up all those debts. So make sure that you understand what you are getting yourself into. And you know, Magauta has said some powerful nuggets here. When you are in trouble, because those people that you are thinking about, they really don't care about what's happening. Deal with your situation. Look at yourself. Cut where you need to cut. You know, downscale, downgrade. It's just a temporary phase, and you can always go back when things are right. Now, the last part. The first time I met you, I was at I think it was a Women's Day conference. And there you were talking about sexually transmitted deaths. I had never heard of something called STDs. So maybe let's just talk about that.
It's basically deaths that you incur because of relationships. You know, we love people and we want to make them happy. So that includes our partners. But it's also about the dynamics in a relationship, because what I've seen is that people don't discuss money. You want to marry someone, do you know what their money personality is?
Yeah.
Are they spenders? Are they savers? So
are they hoarders?
So it doesn't mean you won't marry them, but you will know. And number two, sometimes we leave the finances to other people to take care of. But sometimes your partner comes and says, Magauta, my credit bureau record is bad. Can you buy this car in your name? Right? You are not married.
You are in love.
You are in love. And then the relationship breaks down. You are left with the debt. Even in marriage, a lot of because I deal with women, come to me and said, we had a divorce settlement. In the divorce settlement, he said he will pay for the bond. A divorce settlement has got nothing to do with your credit agreement. if you entered into it jointly, you remain jointly liable for that credit. So your divorce settlement won't deal with that aspect. So now you are left with debt because you were having a relationship with somebody. You want to get married. You don't look at the different regimes of marriage and what are their implications. So automatically most people want to get married in community of property. You don't understand that in community means that you become one. So becoming one is not about what is current. So if I come and I had debt and we get married in community of property, I inherit that debt because we have become one. We have become one estate. So if I take out credit and my partner doesn't know, I'm in it. So it's about being open. If you are married, can I see your credit report? Can we bring our 2 credit reports and sit down and say, as a couple, what are we in for? If my credit record is bad, be transparent and say it's bad. Let's help each other to fix our credit records. So you know who you are marrying financially and what issues you have and how you are going to resolve them. And that's where the sexually transmitted debt comes in, because sometimes you want to please your partner and you make financial decisions, or you inherit because you were making decisions with your heart and not with your head.
Exactly.
So I think, especially as women, and please, I mean, I'm so grateful to make your own money, please. You know, I'm so grateful to my grandmother. She died when I was 12, but she made it very clear. I don't know if this is allowed, but she said you must be able to say Fotek any time in your life to anybody, because you know that you've got your own money. Because the stress comes from you depending on other people's money. You are not sleeping, you are thinking about that person. Where is he? Because you are waiting for his 5 rand.
Hey.
No.
5 rand. Well, you've heard it. I think what is important here is that always understand, Kore, even if you are not married, you are just a couple, you've decided you want to stay together. And then, you are buying a property together. Hi, Reka, we're in love, we're
Yeah.
and then you buy the property.
It's a joint bond.
It's a joint bond. When one party leaves and is no longer interested in paying, his part or her part becomes yours.
Your part.
So very, very important that when we are in love, they always say that people say, I fell in love, because we fall in love. And then it's like you were walking, right, minding your own business, and then you fell into this ditch called love. And then
Yeah.
once you are in this ditch, you can't think, you can't anticipate, or things might just go wrong. So it's
Yes,
important that,
yes.
when we get into these credit agreements, love relationships, marriage, let's be wise. Let's think about what if something like this happens. And I think the most powerful thing that you've said is that make your own money, have your own millions, even if it's not millions, your own 5 rand that you can fall back on and not depend on another person.
And if you are not working, learn to save. Whatever you are being given, you must always have a plan to say, I have something to fall back on, because it's a problem.
Okay, well, thank you. We are concluding, but when we conclude here, we always scatter what I call seeds of wisdom.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to just leave our viewers with a seed that they will remember you with of wisdom.
I always say to young people and to other women, we all want to make money, but money, will follow you if you are a useful human being, if you have integrity, if you do everything well. You will have problems, but I always say, make sure that people remember you for the right things. I haven't applied for a job in 20 years because wherever I am, I make impact. I love people. I work with people. I'm down to earth. I'm open to learning, you know. Some of the Tswana sayings that we grew up with. O se bone nong go rakalala godimo go wa ke ga yona. You can be up there, and when you come down, who will,
Lift you
catch
up.
you and lift you up if you were not doing the same? O ska nyela didiba, you don't know. I can be sitting here, I'm the ombudsman. Tomorrow I might be in a different role, and Wendy can be helping me with something else. So be humble, be humble and be a hard worker. Everything that I do, like my garden, people are saying, wow, your garden. I say, I'm not blessed, because people like saying, you have blessed hands. No, I don't have blessed hands. I spend 4 hours in this garden. I spend hours learning and perfecting what I'm doing. So yes, and in the process, have a positive attitude, be happy, and always know that problems are there to teach you. So open your mind, learn, and grow, and don't stress.
There you go. Wow, what a powerful way to close off our session. This session was so powerful. I mean, we spoke consumer credit goods, we spoke debt review, we spoke budgeting, we spoke savings, we spoke wisdom, we spoke STDs. Bona, I want to encourage you that once you've watched, let others also watch. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you so much,
You are
Magauta.
welcome,
It was
Wendy.
awesome.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.